All right, I'm gonna cut straight to the point with this. I log into my Twitter account, and obviously, this whole George Floyd situation, being killed by the police and whatnot, the protests going on in America. Okay, you see the usual social media outrage that will last for 1 or 2 weeks, and then things die down because people forget and people have other things to focus on. Now, I'm incensed because I'm seeing this hashtag going around, hashtag LDNBLM, which is London Black Lives Matter. And the reason why I'm incensed is because when you're seeing, first of all, I mean, you can see here on the screen, they're saying protest tomorrow at Trafalgar Square, bring masks and bring your friends and all this kind of stuff. I don't know if it's really clear for people, but it basically says that you're going to kneel. I went to a Black Lives Matter rally back in 2016. I want to say 2015, 2016. It was for when Michael Brown got killed. Now, I didn't go there. Let me clarify. I didn't go there because I wanted to go there. I was persuaded into coming to see what it was about and all this kind of stuff. And we walked, I believe we did walk by Trafalgar Square, and all throughout central London. Then they went to the BBC HQ, which is just off of Regent Street. And what they had people doing was getting down on their knees and doing this hands up, don't shoot thing. And I said to myself, I'm not going to get down on my knees. Why the hell am I going to be putting my arms up, kneeling down in front of the BBC? Like, this is the visual, this is the symbolism that they're trying to push. Everything is kneeling. You must kneel, you must bow, you must kneel, you must bow. After all of that nonsense, then we march off to the US Embassy, doing the same thing. And you've got, these so called allies, these white allies, liberals, with megaphones talking about, oh, justice and all this kind of stuff. And, it's not right. And this, that, and the third. Not really saying anything of any kind of substance. There was no real action plan, because that's what I was listening out for, was the action plan at the end. There was no action plan. It was just, okay, we've walked all around central London. Bearing in mind, to me, the protest, so-called protest march thing, was a shambles. You had people jumping on top of bus stops and dancing and stuff like that, or yelling in people's faces as they're walking by and singing Michael Jackson's "They Don't Really Care About Us" and doing all this kind of nonsense that was going on. So now I'm seeing this hashtag rising up again. So UK Black Lives Matter, I don't know where they've been for the past X amount of years, but now they've seemed to have come back up. And now they're talking about doing a protest at Trafalgar Square and you have to kneel again. So I Googled, I typed in kneeling definition. So the definition that's come up is verb, gerund or present participle, kneeling. Be in or assume a position in which the body is supported by the knee or knees, as when praying or showing submission. Why the hell? If you're trying to stand up, if the whole idea is to show solidarity and to stand up to injustice, why are you submitting? Why are you on your knees? Why all this hands up, don't shoot, no justice, no peace, saying I can't breathe? Like, what kind of this is like conditioning, mental conditioning that they're trying to put people into. And I don't appreciate when you look at the types of people that are making this plan and organizing this so-called protest. It makes you wonder, like, it just is what it is. There is no such thing as having white allies and white liberals. Malcolm X already spoke about the white liberal and the white ally, and they're not to be trusted. These types of people are not to be trusted. They have you in a position on your knees in front of the world, on social media, on television media, on news media, on your knees talking about you can't breathe, hands up, don't shoot. So let me hold on, let me make sure let me change the screen. Hold on a second. Because when I'm seeing this thing being organized, I'm like, who the hell is involved in this kind of thing? Now, people in the, conscious internet webs, if you want to call it that, they're not really conscious, but just for lack of a better word, have been saying for the longest time, and it's true, that the BLM thing is not, it's not a black organization. This is a liberals, gay, it's like a hodgepodge of just various social issues mixed in, but this isn't a black thing. This is basically, yeah, like a gay liberal organization that they say is funded by George Soros and all this kind of stuff. And it's not really about focusing on black people and the actual issues. All it does is throw around Black Lives Matter, and then people of color and all this kind of stuff. And I'd seen something as well. I'll see if I can bring up where they're talking about this whole people of color business, because at the end of the day, like the UK has this whole BAME, Black Asian Minority Ethnicities. When something happens to black people, there is no solidarity, there is no support from other communities. The Indians aren't going, oh my gosh, look at what they're doing to the black people. Oh my gosh, the police. No, they're not doing that. They're not doing that. But what happens is, if something happens to someone else, black people are the first ones to be running, trying to defend everybody, trying to be standing up for the rights of everyone, and we can't get the same thing in return. Now you've got liberals telling you to get down on your knees at Trafalgar Square and bow down and show submission and beg for validation and beg for justice from people who, quite frankly, for the past 300 to 400 years, haven't treated us and haven't considered us as human beings. Then you've got people, I've seen tweets of people from different parts of the world, of other races and whatnot, always pushing Martin Luther King. Well, if you look at what Martin Luther King did, Martin Luther King has done his legacy, and this is all my opinion, his legacy has handicapped not just African Americans, but black people in general, wherever we are. Because what happens is, whenever an injustice takes place, the first thing that liberals want to do, or just whites in general, and just other people, because it's not just whites that are doing this, the first thing they do is run to Martin Luther King and go, but you see, look, you see how they protested. He was armed with people, and they were just walking and marching and non-violent, this, that, and the third. Telling you, basically, don't make a point of the injustice, and if you just walk around and if you just pray enough, then everything should be all right. Yeah, King got sniped on a hotel balcony, but he achieved something. He achieved economically integrating black people into societies that don't care about them. And now you wonder why black people can't get shit together when it comes to business. It's so hard because he was so adamant to integrate. Everything was about integration. We must integrate, and segregation, and the US benefited from that. And it has an effect in the UK as well. It's the same kind of dynamic. But let me hold on a second. I don't want to go off on a tangent. I want to go back to what I was talking about. Hold on. No, this isn't it. Well, I mean, again, you can see anyway here. Now they're doing Black Lives Matter protests and they're using the symbolism of the fist and all this kind of stuff. I don't know why they haven't put a picture of somebody kneeling instead, because they're not going there with fists up and really trying to show an actual form of resistance. They're telling you to go there, get on your knees, and submit to a system that has been mistreating black people in the States. And now they're trying to bring the UK into it. I don't even think it's fair, to be honest, to be trying to do the whole, oh, look at the UK. Right now, it's about the US and what's going on in the US. So for people to now go, oh, UK, we have to bring this up to, I don't fully agree with that. The focus is on what's going on in the States, but I digress. They are telling, this is what I'm saying, they are telling people to kneel, to bow down, to submit. These aren't black organizations. It just has black in the name. But these are white liberal organizations and gay organizations. It's a mixture, telling black people what they need to be doing. I mean, the way that they've just come and taken over Twitter is shocking. I'm logging in onto Twitter every day trying to just look at other stuff, but every scroll you're seeing, pertaining to what's going on in America. I'm seeing videos of grown men, just talking like they're trying to validate their existence. My name is John. I'm a black person. I'm just a regular person like you, and I have every right to live just like you. It's like, why are you trying to justify your existence to these people? The fact is, we're not considered people. That we know that we're people, and we don't, as long as we know that we're human beings, I don't understand why we're trying to force this thing, trying to scratch and dance our way into being accepted. At the end of the day, it's been centuries of not being accepted as human beings, and it just is what it is with these people. We know what it is. And what pisses me off even more is, this is going to die down because it always dies down. Mike Brown died down, Trayvon Martin died down, Tamir Rice died down. So many of these situations die down. And then when the next one comes, it's going to be the same uproar that's going to last for a few weeks. Now you've got, protests slash riots going on. People are having everything to say, and everything is going to die back down. But this is ridiculous. Honestly, this is seriously ridiculous. Let me get the link. Copy the link and put it here. Right, so there you go. Black Lives Matter. I look on this profile. I mean, this is a white woman there with Black Lives Matter. This is what I'm saying. She, her, white lesbian. Like, what the fuck is this? What is this? If this doesn't say enough about Black Lives Matter as a so-called organization, a so-called black organization, I don't know what to tell you. I do not know what to tell you. But it's people like this, these liberals, these so-called allies that are organizing these protests to make us look weak, even though we are kind of weak, because we do, in a sense, we add to this image of ourselves because we just go with it. We know what to do and we know what's right. We do know because people have come from way back in time, not too far back, but 50, 60 years ago, laid out plans, said this is what needs to be done, and we're here on social media looking for answers from hashtag Black Lives Matter. She, her, white lesbian. This is what we're waiting for. We're waiting for directions from people like this to tell us where we need to be going and how we need to be kneeling for somebody else. It's ridiculous. So when I'm seeing this, I remembered I went to the Docklands Museum, and they have this big poster thing. And what it was, in the English speaking Caribbean during slavery times and whatnot, after the emancipation in 1834, obviously they couldn't just let us go like that. So they said, okay, no, we need to put them into another form of slavery called the apprenticeship period. They had this big parchment like poster thing there with, let me just put it. I think let me put the picture there. It explains itself. As you can see, you got an image of a black person doing what? The same thing that Black Lives Matter are telling you to do tomorrow at Trafalgar Square, which is kneeling. Go back to the definition of kneeling: to be in or assume a position in which the body is supported by a knee or the knees, as when praying or showing submission. This is what they want you to do. Why are we showing submission to these people? What, I don't understand this. The thing I don't like about black people, about the people, yeah, by any means necessary. Yeah, but that's exactly what people do. They take one small bite of what you said, by any means necessary. I mean, if by any means necessary means that you're just gonna walk to a tourist attraction and kneel down, if you're gonna be kneeling by Admiral Nelson's statue as a black person, that makes you even more stupid. That makes you even more stupid if you go into the history. But you see, this is what I'm saying. You've got so many of these wannabe activists, Twitter activists, social media activists, and I don't ever claim to be an activist because I'm not. But I'm just looking at this from a realistic point of view, and as someone that went to one of these rallies a few years ago, It does nothing. There was no action plan. There was literally nothing at the end. Why the hell are you going to waste your time going to something to show that you are submissive? What's the point? I'm not even sure if I'm articulating my point properly. Like I'm just so frustrated with the level of idiocy. It just makes black people look even more imbecilic. Like we just I just don't get it. This is what I'm saying. It's like the Martin Luther King effect, where if you just show submission and if you just show that you're passive, everything should be fine. Me showing that I'm passive by submitting and being on my knee and talking about Black Lives Matter, hashtag Black Lives Matter, if I tweet that enough, that's making a difference. It's ridiculous. Like, it's actually shameful. Us over here in the UK, us kneeling in Trafalgar Square, what the hell is that doing for black people in the US? It's doing nothing. What is a white liberal telling you that you need to be at this place at this time with a mask on, getting down on your knees? What is that doing for anybody? Nothing. It is so embarrassing. Really, I mean, let me have a look at my Twitter feed and see what's going on. This is what I'm saying, because I've been watching this thing and I've been saying that I'll give it a few more days, like maybe a week and a half, and you're gonna see it all die down. It's just so shameful, really and truly. It's so embarrassing. I'm looking at a Family Guy reference right now. You've got this. All right, let me put this one up. Matter of fact, let me share my screen. The white lady on the news the other day just kept talking about MLK as if he did something useful. Martin Luther King handicapped black people economically, definitely. I feel like he's handicapped all of us because every time that something happens, the first thing that these other people want to do is shove MLK in our face and say, you should be singing songs and locking arms together and just protesting peacefully. And, Martin Luther King did it. Therefore, it should work. And it doesn't. Martin Luther King did what 50 years ago, and people are still getting mistreated in the streets. I don't understand what's the point. Black people were there passive and getting dogs sicked on them, hoses turned on them, police beating people. Like it's really ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. And the fact that now you've got basically enemies of black people that are telling black people, listen, whatever goes on with you, whatever happens to you, it don't matter because you should just be submissive anyway. You should just be quiet and, let the system work and all this kind of stuff. Those are enemies of black people. For them now to be able to go and take a picture of Martin Luther King, wave it in someone's face and say, shut the fuck up. His legacy hasn't done anything good. Like if anyone is watching that would like to challenge that, then please, by all means, challenge. Tell me what Martin Luther King did that was so good. What in his legacy was so good for black people? If you're going to say ended segregation, frankly, the problem is the Jim Crow laws. But black people living a separate existence and living in their own society, there's nothing wrong with that. Because back then, you had black businesses flourishing and thriving in America. What's wrong with that? But with integration, the lawmakers, the legislators, they look at it and they say, well, hold on a second. All right, we may not like these. I don't even want to use the N words. I'll just say the N word. We don't like these N words, but you see how they've got their society. They've obviously got money. They've got their own economy going. And I came to this thought and I kind of made like a parallel between what was going on in the UK and what was going on in the US during the 50s and the 60s. With World War II happening in the 40s, the UK got bombed to smithereens and the US participated. And I'm sure that there was a lot of money that they've, put into this war and they needed a way to make that money back. The UK got bombed to shit. So what did they do? The UK says, all right, let's look at the empire. All right, Indians, we take you. Africans, we take you. Afro Caribbeans, we take you. You need to come and rebuild this country. And there was all that discrimination that had gone on in this country that a lot of the time they like to suppress and not talk about. Then at the same time, during the 50s and 60s and whatnot, after the World War II in the States, they realized, and this is just my theory, okay, we need money, we need to recoup money from this war. Well, why don't we stop this segregation thing and we can integrate blacks economically into the US economy, therefore bringing their spending power and their wealth into ours. And I think that's just my theory. I don't know if it's making sense to anybody. That's just how I see it. Like kind of at the same sort of time, around the same time frame of ending segregation and black people, Afro Caribbean people, and Africans and whatnot going into the UK to rebuild the place basically on cheap labor, because it's not like they were really paying. It was just a, you need to come to the mother country and rebuild the country and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, Martin Luther King realized, yeah, but by then it was too late. You did all of that. I have a dream, and little black boys holding little white girls' hands and all this stuff. That's all cool and whatnot. But by then it was too late. You and then you died. That's it. The point is, it's like what do you call it? It's like, news sound bites and stuff like that. You can have a whole interview and be making some really good points, but they just take a snippet of what you said and push that as if that's the main point of what you were talking about. And that's like what they did with King. They'll ignore what he said at the last moments of his life, but focus on the little black boys holding little white girls' hands and mountain tops and all this kind of stuff and having a dream. And that legacy, I feel, has really handicapped not just African Americans, but black people globally. But in this case, we have to talk about African Americans because this is what's going on in the States. So let me make sure. Yeah. All right. So you guys can see the quality. Can you guys let me know what the quality is looking like on your end? Because to me, it's looking kind of like fuzzy. All right, Michael. Okay, so you say it's fine. I don't know why it just looks fuzzy to me, but I mean, it's just stupidity like this, and I am in disbelief. Why are you in disbelief? Really and truly, minstrel shows like this. This is what I don't get. Black people are acting all brand new as if this is just, oh my god, look at this. I'm in disbelief. A white boy's gone and darkened his face and has put "I can't breathe" on a piece of. Why are you surprised? If you're in the UK and you're surprised about this, why don't you look up the minstrel show that they used to show on TV back in the 70s and I believe the early 80s? They had this on television. Noddy is a racist cartoon. Like, why is this so hard for people to grasp? Why are we acting so surprised? Oh my god, look at what's going on. You thought that Tim, your white ally, was your friend, and then they'll tell you, "Oh, it's just a joke. It's just a joke." You have to be able to laugh. Like, this is ridiculous. Honestly, it is so embarrassing. The level of outrage that you're seeing on social media and black people acting like crybabies as if we don't know what it is. And this is what I'm saying. You know what to do. We know what the problem is. The problem has been the same for a very long time. And you've had so many people come, say what they need to say, lay out a plan, get killed, die, whatever happens. And yet we're acting like we're just these invalids, retarded babies that don't know how to do shit for themselves and have to justify their existence by posting pathetic videos on YouTube. Like, what is this? Are we that? After, are we that stupid? There has to be a time where we have to look in ourselves and take a certain level of responsibility. We're not responsible for getting killed by the police, no, but you having crybaby tantrums on Twitter, it's just not good enough. It's really not. Then you see their rapper Killer Mike delivers a powerful speech to US protesters. Like, who gives a fuck? Honestly, who cares? Who gives a fuck? Celebrities, the ones that would risk their careers back in the 50s and 60s were doing the same thing and speaking out. Who cares now? I don't give a fuck what Killer Mike says. It doesn't matter. All this is social media uproar and outrage. Okay, you're gonna have these idiots going down to Trafalgar Square tomorrow, getting on their knees in submission, showing submission, and I'm telling you, if they're gonna kneel down in so-called solidarity with Black people in America by I think his name was Horatio Nelson statue, Admiral Horatio Nelson statue, that makes you an even bigger idiot because you're ignorant and you don't learn anything and you don't know history. It's so shameful that a white liberal, white lesbian, let me bring up the picture again. This white lesbian can organize, this one here can organize a whole rally telling you to go down to a tourist hotspot and get down on your knees. It's shameful. Yeah, they're not risking anything. They're really not. I saw something with Ti, and I'm not gonna entertain Ti because he's a retard, really and truly. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's very ignorant, and he to me he's just embarrassing. Honestly, as someone like he's trying to always be fake deep and as if he has anything really profound to say and whatnot. It's just really does, it pisses me off. It really pisses me off, like the way that Black people in the UK are reacting to this. Killer Mike criticizes other people for choosing their slave master when they vote, but he supports Bernie Sanders. And I mean, I'm not clued up on American politics like that, but at the end of the day, when you're participating in voting, you're trying to participate in the system that does nothing for you. It just is what it is. Really and truly, it is what it is. If you vote, it means that you believe in the system that hasn't benefited you well, I'm going to say in how long? It never has benefited you. Like I said, the problem with segregation was Jim Crow laws, but other than that, Black people were living in their own separate societies and there was nothing wrong with that. Perfectly fine. Because you weren't accepted and you weren't wanted there. And it's still the same thing. You've got people that are supposed to be, to protect and to serve. Supposed to be what's the word? Civil servants. Supposed to be there to help and serve the communities that are out there killing people on video with no care, callously. And this isn't the first time. And now you've got people talking about we have to protest and we have to stand in solidarity and this, that, and the third. If you know what was good for you, you wouldn't go to show submission at Horatio Nelson's statue. You just wouldn't do it. It's so shameful. Honestly, it's embarrassing. It is so embarrassing. I mean, I have to say, I think I've said it on my channel before, but because I've wiped a lot of my channel, I give up with Black people in the UK, really and truly. I really do, because we're the same ones, and I would say we, but I take myself out of the equation, that go through similar things where Black people in this country do get killed by the police. That happens, and we know what to do, but we don't do it. We're so damn individual. We want to integrate into the society so much. We've done it more than any other community has done it. We want to be a part of everything, and nothing has changed in the almost 80 years that we've been in this country. Like, what more do you? I don't know what else to say. I don't know how else to articulate it. Like, we know what to do and we don't do it. Same thing for our people in America. Know what to do and don't do it. Us as black people globally know what to do and we don't do it. So it's easy to manipulate us and get us all in our feelings. So when an idiot posts himself in blackface, you've got ignorant people on Twitter talking about I'm in disbelief. I'm I don't know. I'll share the link. If anyone wants to come on, you can come on, or if not, I'll just end this because I'm pissed off. I'm really pissed off. I feel embarrassed. I really do. I really do. And then with these others that are making their ignorant posts and putting this whole Martin Luther King thing on here, like, why are you even responding? Why do you feel like you have to respond to these fools? They don't know what they're talking about. Why do you expect people of other races and ethnicities to be understanding what's going on? Let me see what's going on with this hashtag London Black Lives Matter thing. Let's see what else is going on here. So we've got another one. Hold on. Let me see this. Let me see if this works. Okay, so we've got another one here where they're telling you what to do and they're, I guess, helping to organize this stupid so-called protest. This one here. I mean, what is going on, black people? Really, what is going on? Not everyone is your friend. Like this is so fucking embarrassing. It's just unreal. It is really unreal. Don't come with the whole, oh, but the UK's changed. It's not as racist. Everything has changed. This and the third. We have to have allies. No, you don't. No, you don't. Let me see. Let me just load up this here. Hold on. Yeah, he does. Super liberals getting involved in this thing. All right, so here we go. It's the exact same thing. Right, so someone's just said summary of the protests happening. They're going to go to Trafalgar Square, then they're going to go to Hyde Park, then they're going to go to the Parliament Square, and then they're going to the US Embassy. And it's going to be the same shit. I guarantee you that I experienced when I went to that one a few years ago. It's just so embarrassing. So what's going to be different now in this case where you're going to be doing the same thing that was done years ago? What's going to be the difference now? Is there going to be an action plan? No, there is not going to be an action plan. There isn't. You can't expect liberals to give you an action plan. White liberals at that. Because at the end of the day, you have to realize that we don't have anyone else out here. Every other group of people, they all have a community front. We don't have a community front. Like, we are so fragmented as black people. And this is why we can't get shit together. Other communities get affected by police killings as well. But you see, they actually have communities and fronts that actually know how to deal with this thing. What we have is a bunch of fragmented people crying with tears in their eyes and snot running down their face, running to their nearest laptop or their phone, venting and crying on Twitter, and then retweeting and liking that there's going to be protests. And they're going to protest. And then they're going to go home like idiots. I'm telling you, I felt like an idiot after going to that whole thing and getting talked into doing it. I felt stupid. That's the same nonsense they said in the US a few years ago. Look how ridiculous the statement sounds now. So you have to tell me what statement. Um, I'm really losing my train of thought. It's just so frustrating. It really kills me. It's like how much we want to just be accepted and we have to protest. What is protest? What's the protest for? What are you protesting? I'm I'm in disbelief at the level of stupidity. I like to have a high esteem of our people. I mean, these people that are pushing this Black Lives Matter. No, I'm not seeing a black person yet. Oh, now I've just seen my first black person. Okay, but all these other ones I'm seeing are white. Yeah, you feel dumb after you do it. I felt so stupid. Like, okay, we did all of this walking. I didn't kneel because I know for a fact I'm not. Why am I kneeling to these people? Like, no, I'm not submitting to nobody. But after you do all that walking, what the hell did it do? What did us walking all around central London and then going outside the US Embassy? What the hell did that do? Nothing. If protesting did anything after, I mean, I'm sure there were protests, but let me just make sure I'm thinking of the correct name because I know I'm thinking of someone. I think it was in New York. Hold on. Thinking of someone that was killed by the police back in the day in the States. I can't remember right now. Uh, nah, I can't remember off the top of my head at the minute. But like I said, like it doesn't even matter who. The point is, people have been killed by the police. Our people have been killed by the police for how long, right? And I'm sure that almost every single time there's been some kind of a protest. If protesting didn't work 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, what is that gonna do? What is tomorrow's protest really gonna do? Other than be some exercise and that's about it really. It's just a bunch of exercise and maybe getting famous on YouTube, maybe. Like there's just nothing. Yeah, oh, there's no racism. There's no racism. Everything is different now, which is a bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of nonsense. And Britain likes to do the whole finger pointing at the states and saying, "Well, look at over there in America. Yeah, they're so racist over there in America. Oh no, it's not like Britain over here. No, no, no. They don't convict police officers over here for a joke. I don't. It might still be on my channel. I don't know. You'd have to check my videos to see if the documentaries are still there. But I uploaded documentaries. Granted, this one was I think from the early 2000s, but which covered situations of police killings in this country, and the police officers walk off scot free. They hit people in the head and sever brain stems, and walk away scot free. They tie someone up with tape around their head, 13 feet of tape around their head, and walk away scot free. They shoot people in certain cases and walk away scot free. Like why is this all new? What the hell is protesting gonna do? Now, rioting, and I'm not saying to riot, but we had the 2011 riots, and okay, if nothing else that came out of that is that people had had the sense to confuse the police in going into different parts where they weren't actually going, but using BlackBerry Messenger and Twitter and whatnot. But you're mashing up where you live, and that just doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense. Everything has to be done with strategy. But I'm not telling you to go out there and riot because that's just going to be irresponsible and whatnot. But my point is, protesting isn't going to do anything. You holding up a sign saying Black Lives Matter and screaming through a bullhorn does nothing. Okay, I'll put it back on my channel then. Um, but yeah, just because because I wiped my whole channel because I don't want to be associated with a bunch of these fools on YouTube. Um, yeah, I think I'm done with my tirade and whatnot. I'm still pissed off, but at this point, I don't think I can articulate my frustration any further without having to just go into cursing, and I don't want to do that. Seriously, don't go to Trafalgar Square. There's no point. You go in there and thinking that you're making a change by showing up. It does nothing. There was no action plan the last time. I'm telling you from personal experience, as someone that went to one of these, that it does absolutely nothing. You walk away, and if you really do think on a level, and if you really reflect back, you would just think, well, what the hell was that for? That did absolutely nothing. People are still getting killed. Officers still aren't being convicted with proper sentences. What am I going out there for? Nothing. No reason. It's ridiculous. Black people in the UK, man, get it together. Seriously. I've given up on black people in the UK, and I've been saying from before that we have no business in this country. We've been here for 70 something years and have nothing to show for it in this country. Nothing. And let me be specific, Afro Caribbean people have nothing to show for in this country. Don't tell me about, oh, reggae and they like our music. That's bullshit. Absolute bullshit. We came here, were marginalized the same kind of way in America. No blacks, no dogs, no Irish. Niggers need not apply. If you want a nigger for a neighbor, vote for Labour. All that stuff that they had going on back in them days. Enoch Powell, Rivers of Blood speech, all of this stuff. Okay. Even up to the point where in 2000 and was it 2018, 2019, however long this has been going on, they were deporting people who came here, who were invited here legally, who worked for 50 years, 60 years, paid into the system, want to get retirement, NHS treatment, cancer treatment, all this stuff, and they're getting deported. We have nothing to show for being here in this country. Nothing to show for. Why the hell do we want to stick around? Why do we want to integrate into this country? Why are we looking for approval and validation from liberals who are going to tell you when you need to protest and how you need to protest and where you need to protest and telling you to protest in the first place? Seriously, black people in the UK, bleak future. It's a bleak future, honestly. You look around at every other community, every other ethnic group, and they have it together to a degree. They're not perfect, but they actually have established themselves. What do? We live in areas where, we've got areas where we live. We don't control them economically. We don't. We rent where we live. We live in social housing. When we're ready, sorry, when the housing associations and housing authorities and councils and stuff are ready, they'll send you a letter through the door and say, right, we're knocking your block down. You need to go. What have we got to show for it? We complain, not enough black business, this, that, and the third, because we're too busy opening up barbershops and other shit that we really don't need. We've got all priorities jacked up. All priorities jacked up. You can show solidarity, yes, because at the end of the day, black people in America are our cousins or brothers or sisters, however you want to say it. Cousins, however, they're related to us. You can't deny this. And we're seeing our people in the States getting gunned down by police and there not being any justice for it. Fine, show solidarity, but stop making a fool of yourselves. Seriously, you're making a fool of yourselves. Acting as if you can't fathom what's going on. My friend keeps promoting protesting on social media followed by speeches to public. You see what I'm saying? It's just so it's like so childish, so childish. Protesting does nothing. It Martin Luther King handicapped black people globally, and it just is what it is. If you'd like to challenge me, you can challenge me. This is my opinion based on experiences, observation, and study. I'm really disgusted. Honest to God, I'm so disgusted by the sheer stupidity of black people in the UK. It's embarrassing. I want to end this tirade.